And Tom Ryther's here now, and he has some news about Kirk Loudermilk, right?
The statement of the night. I said, Kirk, are you happy with the deal? He said, well, I'm coming, ain't I?
Oh,
that kind of says it all.
You know, these days, though, that doesn't necessarily mean they're happy. I mean, take a look at, Henry Thomas.
Yes.
He came back, but he's not necessarily.
This guy, though, got what he wanted. No doubt about it. He's made the holding out an art form. There's no question about it. The Vikings have signed center Kirk Loudermilk, ending his long holdout, which lasted throughout camp and the first game last Sunday. He's in Carrollton, Ohio, preparing to fly here tomorrow to join the team, and he told me tonight that he's glad it's over. He has no hard feelings over his situation or that of his brother-in-law, Rich Carlos, who wasn't able to strike a deal with the Minnesota Vikings. Well, if 39-year-old Roberto Duran can think about coming back into the ring again, why not our own Scott Ledoux at the age of 41? After all, George Foreman is 41. The smell of money may have a hold on Scott. To be a boxer is to suffer with long hours of hitting heavy bags, light bags, running, sweating, always working. There really has to be something to drive a boxer to come to a place like this and work day after day. Of course, it's a dream. They're driven by dreams. And there's a guy in the ring tonight who lived that dream, who was in the big time. At the age of 41, he's back in the ring again. You are looking at exclusive footage. Scott Ledoux's first return to the ring since he ended his career in 1983 in England with 38 wins, 12 losses, and 4 draws. He fought 8 world champions and lost his bid for the title to Larry Holmes. He is back sparring now with young Joe Louis, who is attempting a comeback in the cruiserweight division. Back in 1979, it was young Joe who was sparring with Scott Ledoux, getting him ready for Ken Norton. Ledoux won that fight. Scott Ledoux is 41 years old now and a Minnesota State boxing commissioner. So why is he doing this?
Money always motivates people, and that'd be the only catalyst to get me back in the game. I fought for 17 years before because I loved the game. The only way I'd come back today is for money.
Now, Scott told me he earned just over $1 million in his career. Now, when he thinks of what can be earned today, his eyes light up, and the sting of those punches is not quite so bad. Meanwhile, young Joe Louis will continue his cruiserweight comeback next Wednesday at the Hyatt Regency. Well, the North Stars are on their way to the Soviet Union. They boarded their flight this morning for that 10-day trip, which will have them playing 4 games against several Soviet teams. They will return September 20th. Coach Bob Gainey talks about the Soviet competition.
They normally start their season earlier than us and have likely been on the ice since August. So we'll have stiff competition, and it won't be an easy start for us because they'll want to perform well. But there's nothing wrong with good competition, and I think it'll bring out the best in us.
Well, Al Davis has won again. The owner of the L.A. Raiders brought the L.A. Coliseum Commission to its knees, threatening to move the team back to Oakland. The commission will spend $145 million renovating the Coliseum, and the Raiders will sign a 20-year lease. Well, the Twins are at California again tonight. We'll check them out a little bit later on. Meanwhile, the Twins and just about the rest of the teams in the West are playing for pride right now. Even the White Sox have sort of slipped out of sight. The Sox are in Cleveland for a series. They're still trying to hang in there. Bottom of the 9th inning, score tied at 3. Cleveland's Brooke Jacoby bloops one to center. Watch this play at the plate. Carlos Barraga gets sent home. Now, it looks like he is just flat out. Right? No. Ron Karkovice had dropped the ball. And let's look at the score now. Cleveland wins it 4-3. And we see the Twins score. They're losing in California 6-0. And there you have the rest of the scores. We're okay. When we finish those scores, I will do that. Toronto a winner. We have Milwaukee over Boston. The Yankees a winner. Detroit over Baltimore. Oakland leading. In the National League, Pittsburgh, well, they're rolling right along. The Mets won tonight. The Cubs beat Montreal. We have Cincinnati a winner. San Diego leading. And Atlanta, San Francisco, zip in the 6th.
Look at that video from Cleveland. You see who gets preference there? Not the Indians, the Browns. They still got the yard markers out. Well, probably got a goal post out in center field, too.
Well, they don't cover up the infield until the baseball season's over, and then they reach that dirt part of the field, and the players hate that. Yeah. They just hate it.
Thanks, Tommy. Time now to head up to Izades Lodge in Lake Mille Lacs. Tom Ryther is up there.
That is a really neat area, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, it is, Paul and Pat. As you can see, look at the shirt sleeve weather. I've been to about 5 openers up here, but I can never recall shirt sleeve weather at this time of year. But welcome from the shores of beautiful Lake Mille Lacs, as you can see behind me, 133,000 acres, and I'm told teeming with millions of walleyes. We'll get a story from a local pro on that a little bit later on. Over 1 million fishing enthusiasts will head for the lakes all over Minnesota, which I think really signals the true beginning of the outdoor season in this beautiful state of ours. I'm at the Izades Resort, the home of Governor Arne Carlson's first Governor's Open, and he will join us live tonight at 10 o'clock to tell us how it's going from his side. As you can see, it's a little bit on the windy side here at Izades. Let's go back 1 week now in time when the weather was not so cooperative. These are scenes from the Hayward, Wisconsin area during their opener last weekend, in the cold and the rain and the windy weather. That cut down on the number of those fishing, and the results are being called moderate at best. Hopefully our warm weather will certainly add to the situation here, and as you know, a cold front can really shut things down quickly if you're going to go fishing, but the word has it's going to stay warm. This is truly an exciting time in Minnesota. As you can see, the traffic was starting to farm up rather well earlier today as literally thousands of cars and over 1 million fishermen head to the north. If the weather holds, we could have near record numbers heading for the lakes, because the decent weather certainly brings out even the most interested as well as the least interested, I might add. As the wind continues to blow here, if there is one place to be this weekend, I think it would be behind the counter of your own bait store. This is Lundine's Bait Equipment Center. Used to be Bitson's on the southwest corner of Lake Mille Lacs. Or you can be an independent bait entrepreneur operating along the road with prices well below the big guys. Grassroots capitalism, if you will. Now, this is a common sight right now all around this massive Lake Mille Lacs, which is 20 miles long, 18 miles wide. It's the Marina Izades, where literally dozens of boats will depart from the starting point tonight and throughout tomorrow. Most of the lake's launches are booked, and that, too, is a great way to get out on the lake without having to go out and buy your own boat. So, as you can see, things are really gearing up. We would be remiss if we didn't get a report from a local guy. I want you to meet now Ron Nelson, a fishing pro, the owner of the Wigwam Resort, and now the president of the Mille Lacs Tourism Association. Ron, you hear a lot of stories about Mille Lacs. It's good fishing, it's bad fishing, but from what I hear, it looks pretty good for this year.
Well, I think fishing is always good on Mille Lacs. It's a fantastic lake. Of course, some days fish bite better than others, but fishing is always fantastic.
Give us a quick tip. What do you use? What's going to work this weekend?
Well, I think a leech is probably the best thing, but you can fish anything on Mille Lacs. You can use crankbaits, you can use leeches, minnows, crawlers, you can drift, you can bobber, you can troll. There's so many different ways, and one way will always work.
We'll see you tomorrow out on the lake.
Very good.
Okay, Ron Nelson, who's from Wigwam. By the way, our thanks to Ron Maddox from the Seguchi and Timber Hills Resorts for getting Ron over here to give us a sort of a local view. Now, outdoor columnist Ron Shera is up north at Lake Winnie with photographer Bob Crippa. Ron has been doing fishing tips for us all week long, but today he has the most important tip of all, and that's what to do if the fishing is bad.
Well, this is it. The big Minnesota opener starts in just a few hours, but you know, why be embarrassed if you don't catch anything? Why don't you remember to bring along a few excuses? Tell your friends it was too hot. Or maybe the fish didn't bite because it was too cold. Hey, I got skunked because I couldn't find the lake. Or I had a flat tire. Maybe the fish were sleeping, or I was sleeping. But never, never tell a fib. The big ones just always get away.
Paul and Pat, he left out, I think, the best one I use. I always say, doggone it, I forgot to put my hook on the line. As you can see, though, it's beautiful. We're geared later tonight at 10 o'clock. We'll have Governor Carlson with us, and Steve Carroll will have a report from these beautiful shores of Lake Mille Lacs at 6 o'clock. So we go back to you.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Fall, the time of year that brings a lot of hard work and mixed emotions. It marks the end of the warm summer season and the transition into what will become, hopefully, a winter wonderland. This is a time for storing things that usually go with warm summer breezes, but are now just pleasant memories. There is a sadness in the air when you gaze at places that were brimming with activity not so very long ago, but today are strangely quiet, as though they are waiting in anticipation of great change. For Mille Lacs guide Dave Conway, this really is a time of mixed emotions.
Remember 3 years ago when it was up?
I'm looking forward to the ice fishing. It's sad to always come off the lake in the summertime and the cold weather coming, and it's a fun season. There's a lot of things to do in the wintertime up here.
You can feel change in the air, and it is difficult to think of it as the beginning of a new season. It's really more like the death of an old friend. Although there is some activity, It is easier to notice those things that were busy not so long ago, but today are lying dormant like ancient whales. These sleeping cities are about to come alive after a summer of inactivity. Ice fishing and snowmobiling will occupy our time in just a matter of weeks. Still, there are some who know it is time to move on to other places and to warmer winds. And there are those stragglers who hold on until the final hours in this season of dramatic change as Minnesota begins to move slowly into a different kind of landscape called winter.
This is KARE 11 News special coverage of the Minnesota North Stars. Countdown to the Stanley Cup.
Barry-Lemieux brings the Penguins back. Penalty coming on Doug Smale. Here's a driving shot and score.
Well, it really was the Mario Lemieux show tonight in Pittsburgh as the Penguins Star Center leads his team to victory over the North Stars in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Good evening, everybody. We'll have a special edition of KARE 11 News in about 15 minutes, right after this special coverage of tonight's North Star game, Countdown to the Stanley Cup. I'm Tom Ryther. With tonight's win, the Penguins tied the best-of-7 series at a game apiece, and the North Stars continued their playoff pattern of splitting the first 2 games on the road. Now, here is the final again tonight, the Penguins winning it by a score of 4-1. Let's check out some of the highlights. The Sharks were out in full force in Pittsburgh. They ended up taking a big bite out of the Stars tonight. After the Pens, Bob Airey scored a shorthanded goal in the first period. Kevin Stevens will score in the power play, the first of 2 for him on the night. 2-0 Pittsburgh. The Stars got their only goal of the game on the power play as well. Mike Modano scores the Stars' 33rd power play goal of the playoffs. That's a new league record, by the way. But that's all the Stars got. And Mario Lemieux made sure the Penguins would get the win tonight. What a fantastic play by Super Mario right through the Stars' defense for the goal. That put the Penguins ahead 3-1. Tom Barrasso with 39 saves to make it stick. Pittsburgh wins it 4-1 at the Igloo. And Jeff Passold and Randy Shaver are in Pittsburgh. They join us now live from the North Stars locker room area with more on tonight's game. Gentlemen?
That's right, Tom.
All right, that's it from Pittsburgh. Let's go back now to Tom.
All right, we're waiting for you guys to come back. You've been gone a month now, right?
It feels like it.
I'll tell you, it's unbelievable. Well, here at home, all eyes were glued to television sets, and the Stars game meant a special night out for a lot of fans. It's hard to find more dedicated fans than the North Stars Booster Club. They are gathered in South St. Paul tonight, and our Melissa Young is also there, and she joins us now.
Well, Tom, I tell you, I feel almost embarrassed to be here. I'm afraid I'm a Johnny come lately, but these are... We'll throw it back to you now, Tom.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much, and thank you to the Booster Club. When we come back, we'll have a preview of Game 3.
Here's Lemieux.
Welcome back to our North Stars special Countdown to the Stanley Cup. The Stars did what they wanted to do on the road, really gaining a split in Pittsburgh, and now it's time for the Stars to come home. And if you want to greet the Stars tonight, their chartered flight is scheduled to arrive shortly after midnight at the Hubert H. Humphrey Charter Terminal. And after a day off for the players, the series will resume Sunday at the Met Center. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals begins at 7:05 Sunday night. The home games, obviously, are all sold out. They have been for more than a week, and unless Congressman Jerry Sikorsky is successful lobbying Norm Green, the games are only available on pay-per-view television in the metro area, and it costs $12.95 a game. And you have to call your cable company to order in the game. Of course, we're going to have complete coverage Sunday night right here on KARE 11 News and a special countdown to the Stanley Cup at 11:05 after cheers. That will do it for tonight's countdown to the Stanley Cup. Please join Paul Majors and Diana Pierce for a special edition of KARE 11 News. We'll have all the day's news, weekend weather, some more sports, right after this short break.
In the middle, a tip, Lemieux, over the score. Mike Modano. Got in and around one man.